My name is Amelia Brooks, and I'm a 28-year-old graphic designer living in Portland, Oregon. I've always loved the city's charm, the coffee shops, the art galleries, and the vibrant energy. One of my favorite routines was stopping by a small cafe near my office after work. It was cozy and quiet, the perfect place to unwind. That's where I first met Carl. He was one of the waiters there, probably in his mid-30s. At first, he seemed friendly, maybe a little too friendly. He always greeted me by name, remembered my usual order, and even complimented my outfits. I didn't think much of it at the time. I just figured he was trying to be a good employee or maybe earn a bigger tip. But then, things started feeling off. One day, he made an odd comment. I was wearing a green sweater, and he said, "Green really brings out your eyes. You should wear it more often." It wasn't the compliment that bothered me. It was the way he said it, like he had been studying me. I brushed it off, telling myself I was overthinking. But the uneasy feeling lingered. A week later, I found a note slipped under my apartment door. It wasn't signed, but it read, "You looked beautiful today in that green sweater." My heart sank. How would someone know what I wore unless they had seen me? I lived alone in a building with decent security, and I couldn't think of anyone who would leave me a note like that. The notes kept coming, 1 or 2 a week, always describing what I wore or what I did. "You smiled at the barista today. That was cute. I love when you wear your hair down." The handwriting was neat but unfamiliar. I stopped going to the cafe, hoping the creepy messages would stop. They didn't. One night, I was taking out the trash when I heard footsteps behind me. At first, I thought it was just another tenant, but the steps were too deliberate, too close. I turned around, and there he was, Carl, holding a small box in his hands. "Amelia," he said, his voice shaking slightly. "I've been waiting to talk to you. You've been ignoring me." My chest tightened. "What are you doing here?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "I love you," he blurted out, stepping closer. "I've been following you for months. I just want you to accept my love." I froze. My mind raced, trying to think of what to do. Then, instinct took over, and I screamed as loud as I could. Lights flicked on in nearby apartments, and I heard voices shouting. Carl's expression turned panicked. He dropped the box and bolted into the night. Neighbors came out to check on me, and someone called the police. When they arrived, they found the box Carl had left behind. Inside were photos of me, dozens of them. Some were taken from inside the cafe, others through my apartment windows. The most disturbing ones were of me sleeping. The police tracked Carl down a few days later. At his apartment, they found even more photos, along with notes he had written but never sent. He had a journal detailing my daily routine, what time I left for work, when I came home, even the days I did laundry. Carl was arrested, but the damage was done. I couldn't sleep in that apartment anymore. Every creak, every shadow felt like a threat. I packed up and moved to a new city, hoping for a fresh start. But even now, years later, I can't shake the paranoia. I avoid small talk with strangers, double-check my locks, and stay away from windows at night. What happened to me was more than disturbing. It was life-changing. It's a constant reminder that sometimes the people you least expect can be hiding the darkest intentions. My name is Oliver Grant. I'm 42 years old and a high school English teacher. A few months ago, I moved to a quiet suburban neighborhood in Centerville, hoping for a peaceful life away from the chaos of the city. At first, everything seemed perfect: tree-lined streets, friendly neighbors, and a cozy new house. But I had no idea the nightmare I was stepping into. When I moved in, my next-door neighbor, Janet, introduced herself almost immediately. She was in her mid-50s, with short, graying hair and a warm smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She brought me a loaf of banana bread as a welcome to the neighborhood gift, which I thought was a nice gesture. But soon, her friendliness began to feel off. Janet started showing up almost every day, often with cookies or pies. At first, I thought she was just trying to be kind, but her questions became uncomfortably personal. She asked about my family, why I wasn't married, and even what time I usually got home from work. I tried to brush it off, thinking she was just lonely. One afternoon, I was grading papers on my back porch when I looked up and saw Janet standing just outside my backyard fence. She waved and let herself in without asking. I didn't want to be rude, but I told her I needed to focus on work. She didn't leave right away, lingering as if she was waiting for something. Things escalated quickly after that. Janet began showing up unannounced, knocking on my door at odd hours or peering through my windows if I didn't answer. One evening, I came home to find her sitting on my front steps. She said she wanted to talk, but wouldn't explain what about. I politely but firmly told her I needed space and that her behavior was making me uncomfortable. That's when her demeanor changed. Janet's face twisted in anger, and she accused me of ignoring our connection. I had no idea what she was talking about. I told her I wasn't interested in any kind of relationship and went inside, locking the door behind me. That night, I heard strange noises outside. When I stepped out the next morning, I found my car keyed, the deep scratches spelling out the word LIR. On my garage door, someone had painted the words UCANT HID from me in red. My stomach churned as I realized who must have done it. I called the police, but by the time they arrived, Janet was nowhere to be found. They took my report, but said there wasn't much they could do without concrete evidence. Over the next few days, I tried to go about my life, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Months went by without any sign of Janet, and I started to think maybe she'd moved away or lost interest. But one night, as I was pulling into my driveway, I saw a car parked a few houses down. The headlights were off, but I could make out a silhouette in the driver's seat. My heart stopped when I recognized her face. She was just sitting there, staring at me. I didn't get out of the car. Instead, I reversed out of the driveway and drove straight to a friend's house, too scared to stay the night in my own home. I don't know what Janet's next move will be, but I haven't felt safe since. Every time I hear a noise or see a shadow outside, I wonder if she's back, waiting for the right moment to strike. My name is Claire Evans, and I'm 20 years old. I'm a sophomore at Green Hill University, living in a small dorm on campus. Life was pretty normal until a few weeks ago, when something happened that still keeps me up at night. It started with a letter. I found it in my mailbox one afternoon, written on plain white paper. It said, "You're beautiful. I see you every day, and I can't stop thinking about you." I thought it was a harmless prank or maybe some shay admirer, so I didn't take it seriously. I even laughed about it with my roommate. But then the letters kept coming, one every couple of days. They became more personal, mentioning details about me. What I wore to class, the book I was reading in the library, even the necklace my mom had given me. The last line in every letter was always the same: "I'm watching you." I started to feel uneasy, like someone was always behind me. I tried to shake it off, thinking maybe it was just someone with too much time on their hands. But the feeling didn't go away. Whoever this was knew too much. One night, I stayed up late studying for an exam. My roommate was out, and the dorm was eerily quiet. I had my desk lamp on, and the blinds were half closed. Around midnight, I heard a soft knock on the window. At first, I thought I imagined it, but then it happened again, this time louder. My heart pounded as I turned to look. Standing just outside the window was a man in a black hoodie. His face was mostly hidden, but I could see his eyes staring right at me. In his hand, He held another letter. I froze, unsure of what to do. My mind raced. Then he tapped the glass with his finger, slow and deliberate. That snapped me out of it. I screamed as loud as I could, and he bolted. Campus security arrived quickly after I called them, my hands trembling so much it was hard to dial. They found him hiding in the bushes near my dorm, clutching a backpack full of more letters. It turned out he was an older student who had been expelled before for stalking someone else. Even though he's gone now, I can't shake the feeling of being watched. I keep my blinds shut tight and avoid walking alone at night. But sometimes, late at night, I think I hear faint tapping on the window, and my heart races all over again.